Welcome. Today I'd like to talk about Qigong. So if you're visiting my website, www.garysvitsky.com, I talk about Qigong and I offer something called 4 Pillars Qigong. And I've recently written a book about 4 Pillars Qigong, which is a little bit of the story of how it came to be and also how Qigong works and how this method of Qigong is actually practiced. It goes through the details step by step on how to actually do 4 Pillars Qigong. Aside from that, what really is Qigong? So if you're stuck across this video, maybe that's why you're watching this. I don't know what Qigong is, but I kind of feel curious about that name. And I feel drawn to it. So Qigong essentially is an Asian term. And I'm going to say Asian term because the history of Qigong dates back literally 5,000 plus years. There are historical or archaeological finds where teachings of Qigong have been engraved on bone well before we had things like paper. So this is a long history development of a practice, if we want to call it that is sole purpose is to benefit our lives. Qigong itself is a more of a modern term to describe these practices. Modern meaning they didn't call it that 5,000 years ago. But the history of Qigong is rich and robust and really was birthed in the Asian part of the world. So again, remember that when this was manifesting in humanity, literally thousands of years ago and continuing to manifest, what we understand today as the geographical boundaries that we could call different countries didn't exist in times when some of this was becoming developed and manifesting. Those countries and borders and names were completely different. So that's why I say it's the Asian part of the world. More so than what we can call it today. So that's my way of saying it. I mean, other people may call it something different, but this is my understanding and interpretation of it. So Qigong is really two kind of words made into one word. And again, remember that this is a way of expressing something that has manifested through centuries. So Qi, sometimes pronounced Qi, represents what's called energy, breath, air, something like that. Sometimes it's spelled phonetically in English, if we would look at it, it'd be QI or KI or CHI, depending on how it's translated, and sometimes there's different traditions involved. And then the Gong part is something like with QI, it would be GONG, or sometimes it'd be KUNG or GUNG, different spellings. Those really are just different representations of the same idea and concept, meaning Qigong, 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 lots of different ways of saying it, but they essentially all mean the same thing, meaning energy, breath, air. Really, that's what the Qi thing means, life energy. Gong, Kung, things like that, really represent the idea of a practice, a work, exercise, something like that. So when I say Qi Kong, it really means like air, exercise, breath, work. Breath work is a term that you may hear a lot more often in self-healing circles today. Partly it is a more modern way of saying the same thing, but Qigong, dating back literally thousands and thousands of years, is really kind of the grandfather of modern breath work, because its name actually means breath work, air, exercise, energy, practice, like that. So that's the name and a tiny little bit about the history. As far as history, we're talking about a large area of world geography, and it manifested in different places in different times. So as a result of that, there's many, many different styles of Qigong. Many, many different styles of Qigong. We could be talking hundreds of styles. Ideally, they still follow a very similar kind of concept, and each of them is a valuable thing to learn. Do you need to learn hundreds of styles? No. One style is enough. One practice is enough that can change your life. Why would we do Qigong? So Qigong is a practice, like I said, or an exercise, or something you work at, or whatever, that we utilize breath or energy with. And we utilize that to transform ourselves. So Qigong has kind of like three, if we want to call it schools of thought, or three directions of practice. And ultimately, sometimes if we can call them three paths, maybe, if you travel each of the paths, individual paths long enough, they kind of meet together in the end anyways. The first path typically being what used to be called the martial path. So martial Qigong. Martial Qigong, or performance-based Qigong, is really, you practice that for your own personal development. And in the case of martial arts, is to become a greater martial artist, or an athlete, to be a greater athlete. Some Olympic athletes practice Qigong to enhance all of their physical training and to give them an energetic spiritual aspect to what they're doing. So instead of just accessing your resources that are from the physical body, the emotional body, the mental body, we are now adding the energetic body and potentially the spiritual body. So now there's a whole nother area that we can draw on those resources. So if we physically become reaching a place where I'm kind of hitting a plateau, or potentially limitations, and maybe it's based on what I'm thinking or what I'm feeling, or even physically something, but I add the energetic aspect, I can kind of dissolve those limitations and expand even further. So someone who's practicing martial arts, or as an athlete, someone who's in school, someone who's studying, someone who's in business or in a career, you want to enhance your career, you want to bring some balance to your life. This is personal performance-based Qigong. And that's why you're doing it, is partly I really want to enhance my personal journey in these aspects. So that was what we call martial performance-based Qigong. The next kind of school of thought or path to travel down is medical-based Qigong, meaning that I want to develop energy, do these different practices for the benefit of either healing myself, or even a greater benefit is potentially healing myself and then offering healing to others through an energy-based or spiritual-based Qigong type energy healing practice. So there's medical Qigong. The third path is spiritual Qigong, where your focus isn't personal development for development reasons. It's not healing for the purpose of just healing yourself or healing others. And part of it may be very similar, where in spiritual Qigong, I'm developing energy to strengthen myself as well, also to heal myself, but the purpose is to develop myself spiritually, to grow spiritually, to connect spiritually, to become whatever your goal is spiritually. So, but also to engage in yourself very specifically. My goal is a spiritual goal, or a medical goal, or a physical goal. Now, again, they share and blur sometimes, because when we do Qigong for personal development, it also builds our energy and has healing aspects. When I work on healing myself, I'm also developing my physical self and so I get a physical development by doing medical Qigong. And sometimes when I'm doing medical or martial Qigong, if I'm doing it, sometimes spiritual aspects could manifest through the practice as well. So they are three separate paths in a way, but they're also interrelated. So some people will say, my purpose of learning Qigong is I want to enhance my life. I want to potentially extend my life. I want to increase greater longevity in my life. That is one of the benefits of Qigong. I want to be able to move better and be physically stronger, be more mentally stable and emotionally balanced. That is one of the benefits of Qigong. I want to sleep better. I want to be less worried. I want to be less affected by the environment in which I'm living in. That is one of the benefits of Qigong. I want to grow myself. I want to understand myself better. I want to be connected more to myself within myself. Can I hear what my body's telling me? Can I understand what my body, my mind, my emotions are telling me? Can I begin to feel the energy flow within me and around me? These are other things that Qigong can help us to do. Many, many different things that we can utilize Qigong for. So Qigong is a practice that uses breath, air, energy, and we do things with it. So some Qigongs, most Qigongs, are done with movement. Some are greater movements, some are smaller movements. Some are, or almost all of them will have aspects that are creative visualization, where I'm thinking something in my mind while I'm doing certain movements and breathing in very specific ways. So developing your breath in very specific ways. So inhaling certain ways, exhaling certain ways, developing full body breathing or abdominal breathing or things like this, where it actually changes, you could change the structure and capacity of your lungs through Qigong practice. Qigong practice often has very deep, slow, rhythmic breathing in it, which actually is super beneficial to the lungs. So someone who is an athlete or a long distance something, I swim long distance, or they kayak, or they cross country ski, or they run, or they bicycle, and they go for long distances, they develop very deep lung capacity. So they can fill a lot of air in, their lungs expand, and they basically have a deep lung capacity. Qigong, if you practice Qigong, you can develop that deep lung capacity that is very similar to someone who does long distance endurance type activities without having to do those long distance endurance type activities. So for example, maybe someone says, yeah, I'd love to be able to have that breathing capability of someone who jogs every day or runs, but at this point in my life, I don't have that physical ability. So Qigong can begin that journey for you, where you can, just through the certain practices of breathing, create a greater lung capacity, which may help to change your physical body, where, hey, now I can start going for walks, and I can do longer walks because my lungs aren't the limitation anymore. So that's one of the other benefits of Qigong practice, is how much you can change your breathing abilities. Not just expanding the lungs, but how much comes in and how much comes out. Breathing is a two-way process. We often think about breathe in deep, but breathe out completely is as equally as important. So we get a very good internal and external inhalation. So Qigong teaches us that as well. So physically, it has a lot of benefits. When I do Qigong, often when you do the practice, you are engaging your mind. So the monkey mind, think, all kinds of things, goes away because your mind is engaged in your Qigong practice. If we do creative visualization with the Qigong, your mind is engaged. So it brings more harmony and balance to your mind. So you're thinking less, and your mind is less likely to kind of bounce around. So you become more focused. You learn how to focus your mind, because the practice itself needs the mind to be engaged. So there's some physical movement. Sometimes it's very gentle, flowing movement. And often it is coordinated directly with the breath, meaning that the breath and the movement work together. So now there's a physical harmony taking place. So my mind is engaged, my body is in movement, and it is in harmony with each other as I breathe. So all of a sudden, any emotions that I've been engaging with throughout the day just kind of quiet and calm down. So it creates a calmness and a peacefulness as a side benefit without you even trying. Doing Qigong does that. Lots and lots of benefits from practice Qigong. That is why it has survived one of the greatest tests, the test of time. Qigong being around in the world 5,000 plus years, still active today. And more people are looking for these type of practice that you can take home and do and empower yourself. So if you've learned it, now it's yours. It's your tool, it's your resource, and you can do this in your own life. And Qigong doesn't require a lot of space, doesn't require a lot of time, and it doesn't require a lot of physical prowess. In some cases, Qigong can be done just sitting, very gently. So that kind of gives you a little idea of the idea of Qigong. One particular style, I've learned a number of different styles. I've practiced and studied with many different teachers and masters, and starting with physical martial arts Qigong, and then studied medical Qigong and spiritual Qigong. What I'm representing now is a new style of Qigong called Four Pillars Qigong, which is a very comprehensive method of Qigong that really has multiple layers in there that can be utilized as one great method, or you can take little pieces, right? And say, I'm going to do this little piece today, and that's a mini Qigong practice. And that's a little Qigong practice. That's a little Qigong practice. So it's a very adaptable method for a modern living. It really utilizes a number of different aspects. There are spiritual aspects to it. There are energetic aspects to it. Everything in the whole method has a reason for doing things a certain way. And there's a lot of number combinations in here, meaning that there's things that are based on, like there's 5 steps here. You do this breath 3 times, you do that one 9 times, you do this one 28 times, this one is 36 breaths. All these numbers have meanings spiritually, energetically, mathematically, universally. So all these numbers interact with each other. There's aspects of balancing the right side and the left side of the body or the brain. So there's those benefits because you're utilizing both sides of your body. There's ways you're also balancing the yin-yang aspects of ourselves. We're also engaging with things like our spiritual, energetic, mental, emotional, physical aspects. Many, many different things that take place here. Four Pillars Qigong breaks down into 4 little mini Qigong practices, or 4 independent Qigong practices. Each is a pillar of the method. One being the method or the pillar of happiness. The other being a pillar of healthiness, and a pillar of prosperousness, and a pillar of peacefulness. So in 4 Pillars Qigong, we are each of these pillars. You practice 1 pillar, 2 pillars, 3 pillars, or all 4 pillars together, and you get a full comprehensive method. And there's little parts in there that you can break down even smaller. 4 Pillars Qigong has sometimes creative visualization, very gentle movements, sometimes vocalizations. Why we do vocalization? Because the sound that we produce out creates vibrations within. And those vibrations within change our aspects within ourselves. So when we are vocalizing certain sounds in Qigong, it is creating a different vibrational quality to us within. So there's so much I can talk about that to say, what's the benefit of Qigong? Why would you choose 4 Pillars Qigong? Well, 4 Pillars Qigong, again, gives you a little bit of everything. It's a whole comprehensive package. It is partly personal development Qigong. It is partly medical healing Qigong. It is partly spiritual Qigong. It is an inspired teaching, meaning that, did I come up with this myself? No. I learned from many, many different teachers that prepared me so that I can receive it inspirationally. So I didn't come up with this myself. Spiritually, I was guided to create this method, and some of these things were just shared with me directly over the course of 10 10 years it took me to put this together. And in the beginning, I understood it one way, and then it stalled. I go, geez, I feel stuck, right? Just like sometimes in our journey, we're stuck and we're waiting for something, and that's what happened. Is another piece came, and then another piece came, and then another piece came, and it still had all these little pieces. I didn't know how to put them together. And one of my cherished teachers, mentors, came to me one day, and a conversation completely unrelated to Four Pillars Qigong, and all of a sudden they brought me that last key that tied the whole thing together, and the package just bam into my brain at one time. Everything came together, and I understood Four Pillars Qigong as an entire brand new method. So that's a little bit of the story of where it came from. A little bit understanding what Qigong is, deep breathing, creative visualizations, vocalizations, and body movements, gentle movements that all encourage the development of energy in the body and to encourage energy to freely flow through the body. So from an energy perspective, when we are struggling in our lives, physically, mentally, emotionally, there could be an energetic component where the energy is stuck, blocked, or congested and cannot move. Qigong, through the process of the breathing, the movements, the thinking, the creative visualizations, the vocalizations, encourages the release of blocked and congested energy, and so that the natural flow of energy is restored in our body. When that takes place, our body has a resource of energy to draw upon, which assists in clearing the mind, balancing the emotions, and healing the body. And also opening us to greater inspirational experience in our lives. So thank you for listening to me today and stopping by my website and checking out this video as a little bit of an introduction to what is Qigong and what specifically is Four Pillars Qigong. So for more information, absolutely, go back, explore my website, www.garysavitsky.com. If you're interested, I have classes on Qigong. Check the website for when that's happening and maybe participate. I can do this either in person or even through virtual video conferencing programs and applications like, for example, like Zoom. So, and also if you want more information or if you're interested in purchasing the book, you can do that also through the website. So even if you do not engage with my particular style of Qigong, explore it. It can really, really benefit your life and potentially transform your life in a very productive and harmonious way. So again, thank you for watching my video today and letting me share with you a little bit about Qigong. Take care.